Hello and welcome to Tommy Talks TV, the place to be to build great love relationships. I'm so excited to connect with you again on my live show on Tommy Talks TV. So welcome if this is your first time. And in this program, in this show, we're going to be talking about romance and finance. Romance and finance. Now, in case we haven't met before, my name is Tomi Toluhi. I'm a relationship architect and I've been happily married for 22 years now, and I help single and married people to design and build great love relationships. So you're welcome to this live show. Max D, you're welcome to this live show. It's great to have you with us. Now, I help single and married people build and design great love relationships. That's what I'm all about. Now, in this show, we're going to be talking about how to build great love relationships, particularly when you think about the finances, how does money affect relationships, that sort of thing. Thank you very much, Otobong. It took from Uyo. Great to see you joining us right now. Just take a moment and share this video on your Facebook page so that other people have the opportunity. Thank you for the love that you're sending out. Share this video on your Facebook page so that other people have the opportunity to join in as well. Now, if you're out there, just, give me a thumbs up or a like, or, send me some love or something so that at least I know that you're out there. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And then just drop me a comment to let me know where you're watching from. So in previous broadcasts, we've had people watching from London. We've had people watching from Nigeria. Oh, thank you very much, Chinwe. It's great to have you joining us. We've had people watching from Malaysia, from Dubai, from Qatar, from the Netherlands, from all over the place. So if you're joining, as you're joining, just let me know where you're watching from. So just type in the comments box, I'm watching from here or I'm watching from there. Michael, it's great to have you joining us. I'm so excited to have you here. It's lovely to connect with you. John, oh, I'm so excited to have you. Oh, thank you. John is logging in from Nigeria. Great to have you joining us. So I'm so excited to talk to you today about what I've titled Romance and Finance. And in this broadcast, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be doing three simple things. Oluwafunke, welcome. Tola, welcome. Desmond, you're welcome. Thank you very much, Desmond. If you're out there, just send me some love, some hearts or some likes or whatever. And also, just type in the comments box where you're watching from so that, everyone knows where it is you're watching from. So in this broadcast, I'm going to be doing three simple things. This is what my task is for today. So first of all, I want to help you understand or identify what is your money language and why it matters. Thank you, Uche, for joining us from Enugu. Great, excellent. It's lovely. Chinwe from Lagos. It's great to see that you've joined us as well. So first of all, I want to help you identify your money language and exactly why that matters. That's the first thing. And then secondly, I want to help those who are singles. Oh, audio quality is great. Oh, excellent. I'm so glad. Those who are singles, I want to help you to understand how to make money work for your relationships. And then thirdly, if you're married, I'd like to talk to you about how to make money work for your marriage. I'm going to give you some money tips. So essentially, that's what we're going to be doing during this program. There will be a Q&A session at the end. So get your questions ready, right? So that at the end, you have your question ready to type into the comment box. It's so great to have you here. Now, before I dive into what I'm going to be sharing today, I am super excited. I have a special announcement to make, and I'm so excited to be making it to you first because you're the first to know, actually. I am going to be hosting my very first marriage masterclass. So the first Tommy Talks Marriage Masterclass live event is going to be hosted in Lagos, Nigeria. Thank you. If you're excited about that, then just send me some love, some hearts, some likes, whatever it is. Just send it in my direction so that I know you're excited. Thank you. So I'm going to be hosting this in Lagos, Nigeria on November the 3rd. So you have plenty of time to plan to attend this marriage masterclass. Now, this masterclass is for singles and for married people. Michael from the UK, thank you for joining us. Paul from Yola, it's great to have you as well. So this marriage masterclass is going to be hosted in Lagos, and it's on the 3rd of November. The theme is transformed. You see, I believe that if you transform your thinking, you will transform your life and your relationships. I'm excited, but why not in London, Tola? Don't worry, London is coming up next year. I guarantee you, London is coming up next year, right? So, you know, if we all learn how to make smarter decisions in our relationships, then we will have better relationships. That's what I believe. So that's what I live for. That's what I dream about. And that's what, you know, that I'm going to be sharing on during this marriage masterclass. Thank you, Pam. It's great to have you joining us. So it's all about how do you go about transforming your thinking so that you can transform your relationships. So the marriage masterclass is going to be themed transformed. All the information is going to be on my page very soon. The venue is in the Museum Center in Lagos. Registration is required, so you need to register, and there is an early bird discount if you register between now and the 31st of July. Grace, it's great to have you joining us. Funke, it's great to have you joining us as well. So if you register between now and the 31st of July, then you have a special discount. So all you need to do after this program, not now, but after this program, you can head on to marriagemasterclass.org, marriagemasterclass.org, and all the details about the program will be on there and on my Facebook page as well. Oluwa Funke, it's great to have you. You're from Lagos. Excellent. I hope you make it to my marriage masterclass in November. So that's my special announcement for this evening. And as I said, I'm super excited. And if that excites you, just send some love, you know, send me some thumbs up, some likes, some, you know, wow faces, whatever it is, just to let me know that you're excited about this. It's just the beginning, and there will be, you know, others, you know, in different places as time goes on, right? Now, so as I said, today we're going to be talking about romance and finance. You know, when it comes to relationships, we need to understand how exactly it is that money affects our relationships or our marriages. So like I said, the first thing I'm going to talk about is what is your money language and why does it matter? Oh, it's great to have you, Grace. Thank you. So what is your money language and why does it matter? Now, money is mentioned in most reputable surveys when we talk about the top 3 reasons why people divorce, right? Money is always right up there towards the top. So it's easy to come to the conclusion that money is always bad news for relationships because, you know, it makes people, you know, fight and, you know, and they get upset with each other. Thank you, Uncle Chooks, for joining us. It's great to have you joining us. So, oh, Tersu, great to have you joining us as well. Oh, excellent. Now, so money is really crucial, and it's easy to conclude that money is always bad news for relationships because of the fact that a lot of people, you know, fight and then they get divorced because of marriage. You see, there is an often misquoted scripture in the book of 1 Timothy chapter 6 and verse 10, which says, "For the love of money is a root of all evil," or all kinds of evil. Now, a lot of times when people quote that scripture, they will say the love of money, or they will say that money is the root of all evil. But that is actually incorrect. What it says is that the love of money, or in other words, our emotional relationship with money, you know, the way we relate to money emotionally, the way we get to attach to money, that is what it is that generally causes problems. That is what the root of all evil is. You see, so thank you. You agree with me, Michael. So if you agree, just, you know, give me some thumbs up and some likes, right? So it's that love, that emotional attachment that people tend to have for money that makes them do emotional and irrational things when it comes to money and relationships. So if you have a healthy relationship with money, then you will make good money choices in your relationship. But if you have an unhealthy relationship with money, then you will make poor money choices in your relationships. Now, if you agree with that, just give me a thumbs up or a like or a heart or something like that. Or just say, "I'm with you." Just type in the comment box, "I'm with you." Right? Thank you, Uche. So you're joining from Enugu. That's excellent. Now, a lot of times also I find that people assume that it's the lack of money that causes people to have, you know, quarrels in their relationship or in their marriage. But I have found actually that it's not just a lack of money. Samson, it's excellent to have you with us. It's not just the lack of money, but actually, you know, how we choose to spend or dispense our money. That is what causes, you know, challenges or disagreements between couples. Not just whether, because you find that couples who have money sometimes fight over money. Couples who don't have money also fight over money. So it's not about whether they have it or they don't have it, but it's how they choose to spend it. So the key question that we need to ask ourselves, thank you, Cynthia. The key questions that we need to ask ourselves is, what shapes our spending patterns? Think about that for a moment. Oh, Folashade, great, excellent. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. So what shapes our spending patterns? That's the question we need to ask ourselves, because the reality is that our spending patterns reflect our values and we spend on what we respect. Thank you, Portia. It's great to have you here. Excellent. I'm so glad you joined us. So the reality is that our spending patterns reflect our values. We spend on what we respect. You see, and that is why the truth is money means different things to different people. It means different things to different people. And the meaning that we attach to money is the most significant influencer of how we spend it. So think about it for a moment. The meaning you attach to money is what influences the way you spend your money. And the way you spend your money as an individual, as opposed to the way your partner chooses to spend their money, is what sometimes causes flashpoints in relationships. So there's an old saying that says that money talks. So people always say money talks. Now I've got here with me a £10 notes, right? As you can see, nice and shiny. And they say, well, money talks. But you see, you need to think about it this way. This money talks, but what it says to you is different from what it will say to the other person next to you. What money says to you is different from what it will say to your partner. And that is what the key issue is, right? So I want you to type in the money box, say money talks to me. But what is it saying to me, right? Just so that I know that you're with me. Right? Money talks to me, but what does it say to me? Or what is it saying to me? So we need to understand what money says to us. We need to understand what money says to anyone else who is in a relationship with us. And then we have to harmonize those ideas and those thoughts so that, we eliminate the flashpoints. So I'm talking, as I said, about money languages. And what I want to help you do is to be able to identify your money language. Now, this whole concept of money languages was discovered by someone, well, it was, the whole concept came from someone called Dr. Kenneth Doyle, and he was a financial psychologist with the University of Minnesota, and he carried out a study of money attitudes, and he found out that there were 4 basic money languages which people speak, and I have studied it and found it to be so true in my counseling, the people that I've spoken to, that people have different concepts, and you can generally, categorize them into 4 different money concepts. Now, usually you find that someone may have, one primary language and a secondary money language. Thank you for Hiel Ibrahim for joining. Now, so that's what we want to look at. What are the money languages? Each money language has its own strengths and its own weaknesses. So there is no perfect money language, right? So you just understand that there's no perfect money language, but we want to look at the strengths and the weaknesses of the different money languages. Thank you, Rhoda, for joining us. It's excellent. Money is talking, but what is it saying to you? Now give me a thumbs up or a like if you're still out there so that I know that you are there. Now, before I go into the different money languages, let me look at this issue of why do money languages matter? Why do they matter in the first place? You see, your specific money language is what will influence the way you like to spend your money, right? Because knowingly or unknowingly, you use money to express yourself. That's the thing. You use money to express yourself. So your money language will determine how you spend your money. Secondly, right, and this is very important, we feel good when we're able to spend our money in a way or in a manner that is consistent with what we value. Thank you, Jacqueline, for joining us from Bielsa. So we like to spend our money in a way that is consistent with, how we feel about, things, and what we value, and we feel uncomfortable or we even feel threatened when, our values or, we're not able to spend on the things that we value. So when we feel that, our ability to spend on things we value is being threatened, there's a tendency for us to overreact if we're not careful. And that's what we need to look at, right? And then also, it's very important to realize that unsurprisingly, a lot of times people end up in relationships with someone else who has a completely different money language from them. And you can already see what the potential is for conflict there, right? So that's why we need to talk about money languages. Thank you. Thanks for all the likes and all the thumbs ups. Now, So, as I said, each of us has a primary love language. Gifts, it's great to have you joining us. Thank you. Right? Each of us has a primary money language and also possibly a secondary money language as well. So, your task, I'm giving you an assignment today. I'm giving you a task. Your task is for you to identify your own money language. And if there's someone else in your life, you're married or you're in a relationship, identify that person's love or money language as well, right? So if you can do that, tell me I can do it. Just type in the box, I can do that. Excellent, Sandra. It's great to have you joining us. If you are out there, just give me a thumbs up or a like so I know that you're there, and type in the box, I can do that, because I want to know that you're on board with me with what we're doing this evening. So that's your task. Identify your own money language and identify the money language of anyone else that you're in a relationship with. If you're just joining us, welcome. We're talking about romance and finance, and just let us know where you're watching from. So just type in the box. Nika, thank you very much for joining us. Stan, it's great for you to have joined us. Excellent. I'm glad to know you're there. Just type in the box where you're watching from so that I know where it is that you're watching from. So let's dive into the 4 money languages. The first money language I want to talk about this evening is significance. Significance. Now just let that one settle in a little bit. Significance. So for some people, Paul is excellent. Thank you. Now for some people, Fidelia, you're watching from Nasarawa State. That's great. Thank you. Juliana, thank you for joining. Oweya, thank you for joining as well. So for some people, money means significance, I beg your pardon. So people who have that money language are usually called drivers, right? They're called drivers because they're consistently driving for financial success. Financial success matters to them, right? Because they see money as a way to attain significance. Now, drivers demonstrate their love for others through the good that their money is able to do in the lives of others. That's how you identify a driver. So they look at, what good can my money do in the life of someone else? And that's how you identify them. It's, for a driver, it's very important to them, if they have a family, that the family is well provided for, that they have a good house, that they have a good car, that they put their children in good schools, that sort of thing. They have their mindset on a certain kind of lifestyle. That's the way a driver is. And the more money they have, the more competent and successful they feel. You see, because they feel as if money protects them against the fear of incompetence. So they will work, do everything they can to provide for the people around them, because that makes them feel significant. It makes them feel significant. Now, the greatest strengths of drivers are threefold. First of all, they're great providers. So if you have a driver, in your family, they're usually great providers because they feel a deep sense of responsibility for the people who are depending on them, and they will do everything they can to meet that responsibility. That's a driver for you. Also, they're very enterprising. So even if there's no obvious way, a driver will find a way to make it work. They will start a business, they will work 3 jobs, they will invest, they will do anything that they need to do to make the money that they need to have the kind of lifestyle for their family that they want to have. That's a driver. And they also tend to be very goal-oriented. So normally they have a picture of the financial future that they want for their family. Thank you, Emmanuel, for joining from Lagos. So they have a picture of a financial future that they want to create, and they will not stop until they get it. So that's usually, those are the strengths of a driver. Now, if you ask me to guess, now this is just me. If you ask me to guess, right, Temidaya, it's great thank you for joining us. If you ask me to guess what a driver's favorite scripture will be, I will say, now this is my choice, you can choose another one, but I would say a driver's favorite scripture is probably Proverbs chapter 14, verse 23. I'll read it from the Good News Translation. It says, "Work and you will earn a living. If you sit around talking, you will be poor." Now, that is, in my mind, how a driver thinks. If you agree with that, give me a wow face or a thumbs up or a like or something like that. And if that is you, I want you to confess. Now, true confession, type in the box, in the comments box, say that's me, or just give me a thumbs up or a like or something, or a wow face so that I know that that's you, right? So if that is you, if you feel like maybe you're a driver, then let's know you're a driver. Just confess, because I want you all to identify who you are, or what exactly it is. You think, John, you think that this might be defining you. Okay. So yeah, if you think that that's you. So those are the strengths of a driver. And like I said, every money language has its own weaknesses. So looking at the weaknesses of, thank you for all that, right? Thank you for all the love. Right, if you look at the weaknesses of a driver, there are three things that I'd like to focus on. First of all, they have an over-dependence on money for their self-esteem. So they feel a deep sense of inadequacy if they lack money. Excuse me. So if they don't have the money that they feel they ought to have at a particular time, it makes them feel inadequate. That's one of the challenges of a driver. Somebody says, that's my husband. Okay, that's great. So at least you're identifying already. That's good. So that's part one of your assignment. So the other thing is that sometimes, as a downside of drivers, they can be quite materialistic in their assessment of other people. So subconsciously, they tend to rate people and their significance on the basis of their financial status. And they tend to look down on people who are less financially secure than they do. It's subconscious. So they don't do it deliberately. Thank you, Esther, for joining, and Abu for joining as well. They don't do it deliberately, but that just tends to be a thing that they do subconsciously. And let me also say that if you have a woman in a relationship or in a marriage who is, a driver, she's most likely to compare her husband and his finances to other people, especially if she feels like he's not meeting up. So that's one of the downsides of a driver. Somebody says, that's me. Excuse me. You're right. So, and then the third thing for drivers is that they tend to be quite task focused, right? They tend to be quite task focused. And the difficulty with that is that sometimes they're more likely to give someone their money than their time. And that can affect their family relationships. So you find the driver's, wife and children, they complain a lot because they don't spend time with them. They're always out there trying to make money, do things and all that, which is great. But then sometimes they forget that their family actually needs their attention. Now, if you agree with me, give me a thumbs up or a like. Or if by now you think, that might be me, let's be honest, right? Just put it in there. That's me. Busuyi, thank you for being so honest and saying that's you. Now, also, when you think about, drivers and the challenges they face, I think I'd like to leave 3 tips with you if you think you're a driver. Three tips I'd like to leave with you. Number 1, you need to acknowledge that every financial blessing comes from God. So don't ascribe the credit to yourself, for all the great things you've done and how you've, achieved and all that sort of thing. Just realize that every financial blessing comes from God. The second thing is this. If you're a driver, you need to learn how to wholeheartedly respect people regardless of what they make or what their financial status is. Don't go about measuring people because of what they have or what they don't have, right? Because, it's crucial that you recognize that people are valuable on their own regardless of what they have or what they don't have. That's the second thing. And then thirdly, remember that sometimes your attention is more important to the people that love you than your money. So money cannot buy happiness in marriage. It's great for you to, share your money with your family and all that and be a great provider. There's a place for that. But there's also the place of, being there, being available, being there to listen for whoever it is you're in a relationship with. And sometimes that's more important to that person than the money that you have to share with them. If you agree with me, send me a like or a thumbs up or something like that. Thank you, Bridget. Every financial blessing comes from God, right? So then the second thing, or the second kind of money language is security. Now that also is quite a big one. When it comes to the area of security, people who have that money language are what we call analytics, because they tend to constantly analyze their financial situation. They analyze their financial options, where they are, what they could do, to improve their finances, that sort of thing. So they're called analytics because they're very analytical about their money. Now, analytics are people that view money as a source of security. So they think it protects them from life's difficulties. That's the way they see it. Yeah, security is really big for analytics. So because of that, they tend to be savers and they feel more in control of their lives when they have money kept aside for eventualities. And, they show their love for their family by saving and by planning for the future, right? So that's what what matters to them, security, right? So just type in the message box there, security, so that I know that you're still following or I know that you're still watching. Now, Now, looking at that, at security for analytics, the greatest strength of analytics is, first of all, they are fantastic money managers. They're very structured. They're very organized. If that's you, you're probably thinking, that's me. Or if it's your spouse, you're thinking, I recognize that. Oh, that's you. Oh, great. Excellent. Okay. So, they're very structured. They're very organized in their approach to money. And, they tend to be planners. So they're the ones that are most likely to establish a budget and stick to it. That's the way they tend to be. So that's an analytic for you. They would establish a budget. They will stick to it. They're fantastic savers. That's the second thing. They're great savers. So if there's a money goal that needs to be met, they will be very disciplined and they will meet that money goal. So if there's anything you want to plan for in the family, give the assignment to the driver. They will save that money. And then thirdly, they're accountable. So they're good stewards of their money. They know how to track their spending. They know exactly where their money is going. They can always tell you where their money is gone, right? So thank you. So it's an eye opener. Excellent, right? So that's the thing about analytics. They're very analytical. Now, this is my own guess. If you ask me to guess their favorite money scripture, I will say that their favorite money scripture is Luke chapter 14, verses 28 to 30. And I'll read that for you. It says, "Suppose one of you wants to build a tower. Won't you first sit down and estimate the cost?" That's what they would do. They would estimate the cost to see if they have enough money to complete it. So they will plan. "For if you lay the foundation and you're not able to finish it, everyone who sees it will ridicule you and say, 'This person began to build and wasn't able to finish it.'" So that's how they tend to think. Oh, blessing, you say that's you. Excellent. Okay, so that's you. So if you think this is you, just type in the message box, "That's me," right? Just be honest. Just type in the message box, "That's me," or give me a like or a thumbs up or or a happy face or a wow face or whatever it is, so that I know that that's you. So they're very good with money. That's the thing about analytics. Now let's look at the downside of analytics, because again, as I said, every money language has its own downside. So the greatest weakness of an analytic is fear of financial insecurity, because they are more concerned about securing the future than they are about enjoying the present. So they have a tendency, to constantly be thinking about financial security and to get worried about financial security. And this is further aggravated if you have an analytic who grew up maybe in your family background, maybe there were challenges, maybe money was difficult and all that. That tends to increase their fear of financial security, and they will do everything they can to run away from financial insecurity, right? So because they are so busy saving for a rainy day, they don't get to enjoy today. Right, you see what I mean? Oh, Edith, you say that's you. Thank you for being so honest, right? So they don't get to enjoy today because they're always thinking about tomorrow, thinking about the future. What if this? What if that? Let's plan for this, let's make sure that doesn't happen and all that sort of thing. That's the first, downside of somebody says spot on. That's the first side, downside of being an analytic. Now, the second downside, thank you, Stan. The second downside is that analytics in relationships can be quite controlling when it comes to finances. You see, because they fear financial insecurity, it makes them quite likely to want to unduly control the spending of other people that they are in relationship with. Someone says, "That's my brother." Okay, right? So, they want to control the spending of the other person because that makes them feel secure. You see, and that can be an undue control. Whether it's the husband or the wife, trying to control your spouse in their spending could lead to all kinds of problems. It can be exhausting to live with people like that because you always feel you're on edge. Every time they spend, your spouse spends money, you feel threatened about them spending money because you feel they're endangering your financial security and all that, so that can often be a challenge. And because of that, they would tend to challenge every little expense. You have to account for, how did you spend this? Why did you do that? And that sort of thing. And that can be quite challenging. Oh, Desmond says, that's you. Okay, so that's you. Thank you for being so honest. Now, let me say that, as an example, analytic women often have a fear of not being provided for. So they would try to police their husbands, how their husbands spend money, so that they can calm their fears. And they're not doing it to be disrespectful. It's just that they're responding out of their fear. So that tends to be a challenge in a relationship. Or if you have a woman who does not work, if she doesn't work outside the home and she's married to an analytic husband, then she can find it quite frustrating because he will make her account for every single penny, right? And that can be quite a challenge. So you can see, how that could be difficult in marriages. So it's good to recognize, if that's your money language, recognize what the downsides are and recognize what the strengths are as well. If you're with me, just give me a thumbs up or a like so that I know that you're still there, right? Now, the third thing is this: analytics can sometimes be insensitive. You see, what by that I mean that, it's not that they're not loving, but sometimes they can be insensitive to the needs of others or even the voice of God, when it comes to how they spend their money. So people can be around them and, they're in financial difficulty and, but because it's not part of the plan, they won't change from the plan that they have, even if somebody, well, I won't say even if someone is dying, but even if someone is in real difficulty, they won't change from the plan that they have, because they have a plan that they're working. Or if God is nudging their heart to give to this person or do this for that person, somebody says, oh gosh, thank you for being so honest, Uloma, thank you, right? She says she fears, the financial, she's always afraid for her financial future. Thank you for being so honest, right? So, because of that, they could be insensitive about the way they spend money, and people might look at them and think, why do you have all this money and you don't want to share and all? But there's something that they're fighting. It's a fear of insecurity. Now, let me share a few, tips for Uloma and other people who maybe you're an analytic. These are things that will help you. First of all, you have to remember God is your ultimate financial security. He's your ultimate financial security. There's nothing we can do as human beings to cover all the bases. We can do our best, but we can't cover all the bases. So you see, you have to learn to depend on God as your source and your protection, because you are not your own source. That's the first thing you need to remember. Now, secondly, you also need to remember that people are more important than plans. People are more important than plans. If you agree with me, type it in the money inside the box. People are more important than plans. Thank you, Kike. That's right. You see, analytics are sometimes mistaken for being, stingy people, but it's not that they are. It's because of all their planning. But you need to just type in there, people are more important than plans, because you need to remember that sometimes you have to bend your plans a little bit, just for the sake of people, to take care of people that are around you. And then the third thing I will also say is that don't try to play God in the life of your partner or your spouse, because you can't manage the way they manage money. You've got to give them the freedom in the marriage, because the money belongs to both of you. Give them the freedom to spend within the parameters that you've both agreed, because if you try to control people too tightly, then either one of two things will happen. Either they will revolt, or they would do things behind your back, because they're afraid of how you will react for every single penny that they spend. So you've got to be, try as much as possible not to police people, and don't try to play God in other people's lives, in the life of your spouse or the person that you're in a relationship with. Right? If you're just joining us, welcome. I'm so glad you joined us. Let us know where you're watching from. Type in the comments box, just say, I'm watching from here, I'm watching from there. It's great. We're talking about romance and finance, and we've been looking at 4 money languages. We've talked about significance, we've talked about security. Now we're going to move on to the next money language. If you're watching the rebroadcast, let me say, because I'm going to post this on my page after after the show is over, after the live show is over. So if you're watching the rebroadcast, still type in the comments box where you're watching from, because I'm going to come back and I'm going to look at the comments box, right, to see who has joined. So it's not too late for you to make a comment, give me a thumbs up or a like or a high five or whatever it is, right? So looking at the third money language now. Third money language, right? So there's significance, there's security. The third one is love. Now, the third money language group are people that are called amiables, right? Because they're amiable. Thank you, Memunata from London. It's great to have you joining us. Thank you, Shodainde from Finland. Oh, that's great. Excellent. It's good to have you joining us. Thank you from Calabar. Oh, that's excellent. Christian, that's good. Okoye from Gombe. Thank you for joining us as well. So when it comes to amiables, right? So the whole idea and concept behind money is love. Money spells love to an amiable. You see, and for them, relationships and people are the focus of their money agenda, because they see money as a means of expressing love to other people. That's their whole money agenda. You see, they're the people that are most likely to feel it when they don't have money, because they feel that, the inability to spend money threatens their ability to express their affection to other people, right? So, when it comes to, the issues of money and amiables and all that, they can actually tend to get miserable when they don't have money, because they delight in spending on treats and surprises and giving to people. Giving gives them joy, right? So they get excited when they have the opportunity to give. Now, if you ask me to guess the favorite money scripture of an amiable, right, or someone for whom money means love, I would guess, it's my guess, you can guess yours, but I would guess Proverbs chapter 11 and verse 25, which says, "A generous person will prosper. Whoever refreshes others will be refreshed as well." So that's the way they tend to be. Beatrice, it's excellent. Thank you for joining us. I'm glad to see that you've joined us today. Now, Thomas, excellent. Thank you as well. It's good to have you joining us. So, for them, that money spells love, and they love to share with other people. Now, if that's you, just type in the box, right, and say, "Money means love to me," or just say, "That's me," so that I know that that's you, right? Someone says, "So true." Yeah, so they like to express their love with their money. Generosity is the first of the strengths of an amiable, right? Generosity, they're so generous. The Bible says God loves a cheerful giver, and so does every one of us. So they tend not to lack for friends because people like them. Oh, excellent. Pascal, thank you for joining us. Good evening to you too, right? Oh, that's your secondary language. Oh, excellent. Okay, so, they're cheerful givers. They love to give to people, right? And, they're great to have around because they're so kind, they're so generous, and excellent. So that's you as well, so they never lack for friends because of their generosity. Dara, that's you as well. Nimbe, that's you. We've got lots of amiables in the house tonight. That's excellent, right? So they're always very generous. They're also very sensitive. That's another, excellent thing about these people. They're very sensitive, so they're most likely to spot it when somebody's in financial need, when somebody has a challenge, while other people are busy setting up committees to, plan, "Oh, this person has a need. What shall we do? Let's come together," and all that. An amiable would just jump right in there, and they would do what they can to be a blessing to that person. They won't bother whether anyone else is there or not. They just go all out to be a blessing to someone. If that's you, give me a thumbs up or a like, or, just send me some love if you agree with me. Now, another thing that's great about them is that they're not materialistic. So they don't have that need that other people sometimes have, to accumulate money or things, simply for the sake of it. They live to give. That's the way they are. They just live to give. They love to give, So that's the strength of an amiable. So if that's you, just let me know that that's you. And if you're just joining us, excellent. Thank you for joining us. Put in the comments box where you're watching from so that we know that you're here with us. Shegun from Lagos, thank you for joining us. Now, the downside, as I said, every money language has its own downside. So the downside is, first of all, they can be poor money managers because they engage in very little financial planning. They are the most likely to empty their bank account at the drop of a hat to help somebody who is in need, and they might forget that their family actually has needs that they ought to meet, so that's a tendency of amiable. So they don't necessarily plan. Now, if that's funny to you, just, give me a wow face or something so that that's the way an amiable tends to be. And then they have what I call a God complex. Now, not in a bad way, you see, because they feel as if they can solve everyone's problems, or as if they have to solve everyone's problems. So when someone is in need and they can't do something, they feel so guilty, they feel so bad. But you see, because of that, they tend to attract what I call, financial parasites, people that want to just, take from them and not give to them, because they realize that anytime you ask them, they will give. Whether they can afford it or not, they will give. So that's an amiable for you. And then the third thing is that amiables can actually be quite impulsive. Or someone says, "I'm trying to put that part of me in check." That's excellent gift. Now, they can be quite impulsive. So they are the people that are most likely to make emotional buying decisions. You see, salespeople love amiables because if they come into your shop, and you just latch upon them, and by the time you tell them all the wonderful things about something, even just so that they make the salesperson happy, or so that they don't disappoint the salesperson, they will buy something, even if they didn't plan for it, even if they didn't they didn't intend to. That is fantastic. You have a baby sister that puts you in check. See, that's excellent, Kike, because that's one of the points I was going to raise later on, that if you're someone who is an amiable, right, then you need someone around you who helps you to control your finances, so that you don't just spend it all, on people and not have anything. Tola, you say that's you. That's great, excellent, right? So, you can't solve everyone's problems, so you've got to recognize that. Now, tips for amiables that I like to share now. Tips for amiable. Someone says, I give all and I become hungry at the end. That's one of the challenges of an amiable. And you can imagine how that affects their families sometimes. So it's something that, if you're an amiable, you need to watch out for. Thank you. Oh, Evangelist Udi, so that's you. Oh, God help you. Well, let me share a few tips for amiables. Now, the first of them is this. You have to remember that much as you want to be generous, God expects you to be a good steward of whatever resources He gives you, right? And that sometimes, not always, but that sometimes means that you have to withhold a part of it so that you can save and invest and grow the money so that you can do more in the future. You see, because there is no faith in living from financial crisis to financial crisis. If you just give it all and then you wait for the next one, you give it all again and all that, that is not what God expects of us. He expects us to be good money managers. The Bible says that we should not withhold more than is necessary, but there is an amount of withholding that is necessary so that you can save and you can invest and you can grow your money for the future. So that's the first thing. And then secondly, if you're an amiable, you have to remember, especially when you're married, when you're in a family situation, that your first financial responsibility after giving to God is to take care of yourself and your family. That's the truth, right? So that's a responsibility that nobody else is going to take care of. That's the responsibility that God has given you. And you've got to remember that. So, sometimes amiables don't think about the future. They don't think about, I need to save for, my children for this reason, or there might be a time in the future where I'm going to be, older. I might not want to work, or I'll be too old to work. Maybe I'll be retired. What do I do about that? They don't really think beyond today. They just do, give, and, at the end of the day, someone says they learn to say no. That's a virtue. Sometimes you have to say no, yes, because at the end of the day, they find themselves in difficult financial situations, and then they expect that other people will do for them what they would do in that same situation. But you see, not everybody is an amiable. So if you're expecting that if you give everything to your friends, when you're in need, they will also give everything to you, that doesn't always pan out, so that can be difficult. So you have to realize your first responsibility after God is yourself and your family, and then you take care of other people as well. Now, if God touches your heart from time to time to do things, yes, but you have to plan and you've got to manage. If you're on board with me, give me a thumbs up or a like, or just let me know that you're there, and say, yes, I agree. Now, the third tip for amiables, as we've got so many in the house, the third thing you need to remember is it's good to actively pursue financial wisdom from God's word. Because if you look in the book of Proverbs, there are scriptures upon scriptures about how we manage our finances. It's crucial, you see. And then also spend time reading, listening to, people that teach on how to manage finances, because it will help you. It will shape your thinking so that you know how to manage your finances better. And if you're married to someone who, is a better money manager, maybe the person is an analytic, for instance, be prepared to let them, help you shape your spending patterns, even if you are the man. So sometimes, as a man in a relationship, you might feel, okay, well, it's my responsibility as a man to lead the family financially and, do this and that, pay all the bills and all that. But if your wife is better at managing money, wisdom says delegate the task to her, discuss it, how you're going to go about it, then give her the money, and you pull your money together and delegate the task of actually paying the bills to her, and talk to her when you want to make decisions about your money, because then that will help you to balance your thinking, and she'll help you to say, actually, maybe we shouldn't do this now, maybe we shouldn't spend that now, if you see what I mean. So if you agree with me, give me a thumbs up or a like or something. Just let me know that you agree with me. We need people's help sometimes to help manage our, the way we look at our finances. Now, the last money language, the fourth one, is what I call acceptance. Now, people for whom money means acceptance are people who are called expressives. They're called expressive. And the reason why they're called expressives is because they like to express themselves through money, through the way they spend their money. So they communicate their love by shopping, by purchasing, by spending on people to gain acceptance from a select group of people. That's the way they are. So expressives are people for whom money translates into acceptance and respect. That's how they see money. So they think that money gives them acceptance and respect. And subconsciously, they feel that when they have money, it earns the admiration of other people. That's the way expressives are. Now, expressives are usually connectors. So that means that their money provides them with a basis for connecting with other people, people that they think are desirable. And that's how they tend to use money. They're quite strategic about the way they use money to connect with people, and all that. An expressive is the one that is most likely to enter into, go to a restaurant with friends and just say, don't worry, I'll pay for you all. That's an expressive. They spend to impress because they feel it gains acceptance for them and admiration. And well, there are strengths in being an expressive. So for instance, they usually have a very wide circle of people. They have a wide circle of friends because, they've done so many good deeds for people in the past. They've expressed their money in that way. And so because of that, oh, that's an excellent question. I'll answer that at the end. How do two amiables cope? That's a very good question. Right. So they express themselves through their money, and they tend to be generous as well. They're givers. They give for a different reason from amiables. Amiables give because of love. Expressives tend to give because they feel it gains acceptance. So they feel, if I give, this person will, love me more, accept me more, see me in a particular light, that sort of thing. But nevertheless, they're quite generous and they're strategic in the use of their resources because they don't feel the need to just, accumulate for the sake of accumulating. They will spend money to be able to achieve an aim that they want to achieve. Now, if you ask me what their favorite money scripture is, this is my guess. It's my guess. You could guess yours. My guess is Luke chapter 16, verse 9. I'll read it from the New Living Translation. It says, here's the lesson. Use your worldly resources to benefit others and make friends. Then, when your earthly possessions are gone, they will welcome you to an eternal home. This was Jesus that said that. So that's how an expressive tends to use money. They use money to benefit others and make friends, to open doors, essentially. That's what they use it for. Now, looking at the weaknesses of expressive. Now, before I talk about the weaknesses, if you think that might be you, be honest and just say, okay, this is me, right? So just say, this is me. I think I'm an expressive, or I think that might be me, if you're not entirely sure, right? Or give me a like or a thumbs up so that I know that you think that might be you. So, what are the weaknesses of expressives? Now, the first of them is this. They tend to overestimate the power of money. They overestimate the power of money. So Ecclesiastes chapter 10 and verse 19 is one of the scriptures they live by. Money answers all things, or money is the answer to all things. So they tend to believe that money can solve most problems and can open most doors, So they just feel, look, if you have the right amount of money, you can sort out any problem. Right? That's just the way that they are. And, they feel like, spending money gains respect and popularity and that sort of thing. The second thing about them is that they tend to be quite self-conscious. So they feel like their acceptance with others is threatened when they lack money, So they always try very hard to impress people, with the car, with the house, with the position that they have. They position themselves in a way in people's minds, so that at least it makes them feel good about themselves or makes them feel accepted. Now, an expressive man, if an expressive man is in a marriage and he has financial challenges, he is the one that is most likely to respond, oh, why are you talking to me like this? Is it because I don't have money? Kind of thing. Because, they feel as if they're more accepted by their family when they have money to spend. Again, if that's you, just type in the box, I think that might be me, right? And the third thing is that, they tend to be favor seekers. So they like, people to favor them, and they try to buy favor with money or with things, and sometimes that can prevent them from having, authentic relationships with people, because they always feel every relationship has a price, essentially, so you might know somebody who is like that as well, or that might be you. Now, if that is you, let me give you a few tips on, what to do. So tips for expressives. Number one, remember that God is your ultimate acceptance. He's your ultimate acceptance. Your ultimate acceptance comes from God. favor cannot be bought. That's the first thing. Secondly, you need to rely on God rather than depending on money to calm your fears or solve your problems, because you've got to trust God at the end of the day. Someone says, that's my husband, right? And then thirdly, you need to remember that you are worthy to be loved regardless of your bank account. So you don't need money to be accepted, right? You are worthy to be loved. Now, let me ask you a question. Have you managed to identify yourself? Right, so some of you have said, "This is me." I recognize that money means significance to me. Some of you have said, "Oh, money means, security to me. Money means love to me. Money means acceptance to me." If you haven't identified yourself yet, do it now in the comments box. Just say, well, money means love to me, or money means significance, or money means security, or whatever it is that you think money means to you. Do that in the comments box right now. So those are the 4 money languages, and I hope that has helped you, right? If you like that, then just give me a like or a thumbs up, or if it made sense to you at all, just send me some love so that I know that you're still out there and you're still watching. So that's the first part of what I wanted to share with you. I'm going to whiz through the second part now. So now that we've talked about the different money languages, you've identified yourself, and hopefully if you're in a relationship with someone, you've identified what their own money language is. And you can already see that if your money language is one thing and your spouse's money language is another, there's a potential for clashes there. As I've said, every one of us has a primary money language. You may have a secondary money language as well. So you might be an analytic but also amiable, so you could have a combination. Thank you, Tola. So money means love to you. Chinwe says, is it possible that an individual can have more than one of these money languages? Absolutely yes, Chinwe. So you could have one primary love language and then a secondary one. So you could have a combination. So you find that you're not all one. Yes, so you could have a combination. So that's a very good thing to identify. So okay, it took you saying amiable is your secondary, right? So now that you've identified yourself, now let's look at, think about the fact that, if you're single, what do you need to be thinking about? So these are quickly money tips for singles. First of all, you must remember this, when you're planning to get married to someone, you have to be aware that everybody has their own marriage money agenda, right? They will come into marriage with their own money agenda. Money agenda. I want to say it so that it sinks in, right? So type in the comments box, money agenda. You have your money agenda. Whoever you're marrying has their own money agenda. So you've got to understand that. So when you approach your relationship, or you're planning to enter into marriage with someone, you have to know that when you engage with that person, your money language, your life experiences, your stage of life is going to affect your money agenda and the way you see money, and also the way that person sees money. So you need to be able to explore and understand your potential spouse's money agenda and harmonize it with yours, so that you can minimize the likelihood of conflict. That's very important, because the Bible says in Amos chapter 3 and verse 3, it says, can 2 people walk together without agreeing on a direction? Thank you, Usman. Thank you very much indeed. Can 2 people walk together without agreeing on a direction? So you have to come to some form of agreement. So when you recognize that you have your money agenda, they have their money agenda, then you think through, okay, how do we unearth these money agendas so that we both understand where we're operating from? So a person's money agenda would determine all sorts of things in their lives. Thank you, Nika, for joining. Excellent. Right? So, it affects their attitude to work, and how they see their work and how they see their spouse working as well. That's the first thing. It affects the number of children they want to have, because some people, if money means love to them, they may want lots of children to spend the money on. Some people may think, okay, no, I don't really want lots of children. I want to be able to provide for them. That might be a different money agenda. It affects the kind of lifestyle that they want to have, the way they see the future in the marriage. Their money agenda affects that as well. It also affects the way they see the role of a husband and a wife in the family financially. So sometimes, people are influenced by their money language and also what they've grown up seeing, how they've seen their parents relate in that area of money, and that shapes their money agenda. And you must be aware of that before you get married to somebody. Then also, it shapes their attitude to giving, savings, debt. That's very important for you to understand, and also how they view the issue of dependence. So these are all questions you need to explore if you want to get married to somebody. The time when you're dating someone, you're courting someone, is not the time to just say sweet nothings and just how much you love the person and all that. You have to dig deeper into crucial issues so that you actually understand what money agenda is this person bringing into the marriage, and then you unearth your own money agenda as well and see how the two can work together. If you agree with me, give me a thumbs up or a like or something to let me know you know what I'm talking about, or let me know that you're with me, right? So if you're planning to get married to somebody, don't make assumptions. That's the first tip I will give you. Don't make assumptions, right? Don't make assumptions at all. Don't assume that, for instance, if you're a woman, that your husband will be comfortable with you working, right? If you're a man, don't assume that your wife will want to work, right? Ask the question, talk about it. Talk about, how you want to manage your marriage. Thank you, Beatrice, right? Don't just assume anything. Talk about money early in your relationship, right? Some people will ask, when is the right time to talk about money in a relationship? And I think that's an excellent question. Well, you see, when you enter into a relationship with someone, you don't want to meet someone and then within 2 weeks or 1 month, you're interviewing them about, what is your money agenda? Otherwise, you might scare them away. But you see, by the time you get to the stage where the relationship is getting serious, and you realize that you're both beginning to plan towards marriage, you know that marriage is on the cards, or it's looking like it might be on the cards sometimes in the future. That's the time to start exploring, right? That's the time to start dropping it in here or there, asking them questions, listening very carefully so that you understand where they're coming from. You understand, what their ideas are about how money should be spent, in the family, what matters to them, what their values are, what their money is likely to pursue. So it's important that you talk about these things. Talk about their attitude to giving. Talk about how they feel about spending. Talk about their attitude to debt, and indeed whether they have any debt at all. Talk about, how they see investments, whether they have dependents or not, and how they see the issue of helping dependents, and all that. Because if you come into marriage with the assumption that, your spouse is going to be happy with you, taking care of everyone in your family and, your father and your mother and everybody else, without letting them know, you might be in for a surprise. So those are things that you need to talk through. Number 2 tip for singles is that don't make your money one if you are not yet one. That's very important. Don't make your money one if you're not yet one. Don't try to be financially one until you are one in the eyes of God and the law. Now, why do I say this? Because sometimes relationships don't work out the way we planned them. Unfortunately, nobody plans for that. But you see, if you put all your money together in one pot, before you're ever married, you have all your money in a joint account. If something goes wrong, then you have all the stress of trying to disentangle your finances and all that. Sometimes people go ahead to marry someone not because they're convinced they should marry them, but because they're so financially entangled with that person that they cannot disconnect. So what I'm saying is this: while it's good if you're planning a marriage, you're planning a wedding, you might want to maybe open a joint account and save together. Yes, that makes sense. But don't put everything together if you're not yet one. You're not yet married until you're actually married. I think that's good wisdom, right? Then the third thing also is, don't sacrifice the future of your marriage for a lavish wedding. I wish I could shout this on the rooftops, because I get a lot of messages from people who are saying, young ladies who are saying, well, it's like, well, I'm in a relationship with someone, but he doesn't have enough money for us to have a wedding, and because of that he's postponing it, or this and that and the other. Or people just want to impress with their wedding, and they forget that after the wedding you need to eat. You actually need to eat. So if you spend all your money, spend all your present money and your future money, and you get into debt because you want to impress, you have to remember that a wedding lasts a few hours, but a marriage is for a lifetime. A wedding lasts a few hours, but a marriage is for a lifetime. Type that in the message box. A wedding lasts for a few hours, but a marriage is for a lifetime. So there is no financial wisdom in acquiring debt so that you can have a lavish wedding that everybody is wowing about. You see, because at the end of the day, when all the guests have eaten, everything you offered them and they've gone home, then you will be left to deal with the financial stress. And a lot of marriages break up in the first year simply because of the excruciating financial debt that they find themselves under. So don't do it. Plan a wedding that suits what you can afford, right? Whatever it is that you can afford, plan it, and tailor your wedding accordingly. There's at the end of the day, what matters is how the marriage survives, and how it thrives and how you enjoy your marriage, not how many people you impressed and how excited they were about the dress you wore and the kind of cake that you had and all that sort of thing. So I think that's very important. And the last point for single people, I will say, if you're single, say goodbye to financial illiteracy. Financial illiteracy. You see, there is no excuse in this present day for you to be financially illiterate, right? Now, let me say what I mean is this. If you may not understand, how to handle finances, because many of us, or most of us actually did not have the opportunity to, as we're growing up, to be taught, okay, this is how you spend money. This is how you save money. This is what you do with your finances and all that. We don't exactly have that financial education, but you need to take the time to invest to gain that financial education. If you don't know how to budget, or you don't know how to save, or you don't know how to invest, Google it. Google it. Just put it in the box there, in the message box, type it, Google it. There's no excuse for financial illiteracy. Google it, learn. There's nothing you can't learn by Google. There are so many financial experts out there that are teaching on YouTube. There are all kinds of books out there that you can buy to read. There are people around you that might know better how to manage finances. Learn about budgeting, learn about saving, learn about investment, learn about property, learn about tax efficiency, learn about anything that will help you to move forward financially. Do everything you can to give yourself the tools that you need to build the kind of financial future that you ought to have. If you agree with me, send me some love, send me some hearts, give me a wow face, give me a thumbs up, give me a like, give me something so that I know you agree with me and you're watching. Right, so I'm getting close to the end now, so I want you to get your questions ready so I can deal with your questions. I'm going to deal with your questions very shortly, but I'd like to just take some time now and talk to the married people. Let me also say that if you're watching the rebroadcast, it's not too late to drop your comments. Drop your comments, because I will still come back and look at the end of the day, at the comments that you've made, and I will respond, to comments and all that. So it's not too late for you to drop a comment and get your questions ready. Now, if you are married, send me some love or give me a thumbs up so I know you're there, because I'm going to be talking to you now. So if you're married, just let me know you're there. I'm married, just let me know you're out there. So I'm sharing money tips for married people now. Money tips for married people. Now, you have to assume that your spouse is going to come into marriage with a money agenda. That's the first thing. And secondly, you cannot assume that the only valid money agenda in your marriage is your own. Thank you for that honest confession about the relationship that you went into, Mohammed. Thank you so much. Now, don't assume that the only valid money agenda in your marriage is yours, because that will inevitably lead to conflict, because you have your own agenda, and the other person has their own agenda as well. And the truth of the matter is this: it's very likely, from what I've shared so far, I'm sure you can tell, that you and your spouse will have different money languages. So an amiable may, end up married to an analytic. So the amiable wants to spend today building memories, maybe have an enjoyable holiday with the family, or go out, to eat, or spend some money just to have fun today. And the analytic is busy planning, saving for the future. They don't want to spend money on today. So that could bring clashes. That's an example. Or maybe somebody who is a driver, and wants to send their children to the best schools, and take care of the family and all that. And they marry someone who is an expressive, who wants to take care of everybody in the extended family and all. That can cause clashes as well. So if you've got your own agenda, they've got their own agenda, you've got to figure out, how do we make it work so that we can agree, we can come to a balanced agenda that we can both agree on. In order to make your marriage work, you must come to a unified approach to how you manage your finances. So Jesus said in Luke chapter 11 verse 17, he says, any kingdom that is divided against itself will be ruined, and any house that is divided against itself will fall. So that's why, a lot of times people allow money to get in between the two of them in a marriage. The Bible says, what God has joined together, let no one, and let no money put asunder. Money should not separate you from your spouse. So give me a like or a thumbs up if you get what I'm saying, or you understand me, or just type in the box, I get you. Now, there's something positive to learn from all the money languages. So you must realize that, but there are also inherent weaknesses, like I've said, in all of them. So if you and your spouse have the same money language, that's a challenge, like the previous question that was asked. What do you do if you're amiable and your spouse is amiable? So both of you just want to give and solve the world's problems. Then you need to find somebody who can, speak into your life. Maybe someone who is a friend or a mentor, someone who can help you, with your financial decisions, someone who you can bounce ideas, with, not necessarily that they would decide for you, but you agree as a couple, this person, can help us and speak into our lives and all that, so that, if you're going to make money decisions, you can talk to them and they can sometimes actually talk some sense into you. So you actually know that, okay, well, maybe that's not a very smart idea. That's not a good way to spend my money after all, so that's important. Or, take time also to gain financial education. Constantly watch messages of people who teach about financial management. Read the book of Proverbs, because it talks constantly about financial management, so that you can reorient your thinking, and take time. Don't be impulsive with the way you give. Take time, before you make a decision to give. Calm down. Don't let your emotions just push you, but rather calm down and plan, okay, this is how I feel God is leading us to give. But realize that, look, there has to be a balance with the way you do it, right? So if you're different from your spouse in your money language, that's a fantastic thing. It doesn't have to be a source of conflict. It's fantastic, because that means you will balance each other out. My philosophy is this: difference introduces balance. Difference introduces balance. If you agree with me, type it in the box, in the comments box there. Say difference introduces balance, because I want you to remember it. If you're different from your spouse in the way you view money, it gives a sense of balance. So if you're someone that's an analytic and you're married to an amiable, they will help you have more fun, and help you, to enjoy today a bit more. And then the analytic will help the amiable to plan, how they spend their money and think better about how they handle their money. That's an example. So if you both understand that, then it will help you to respect each other's money languages. Now, let me give you the quick tips for married people. Number one, remember, you both have a stake, right? So you should both have a say. You both have a stake in the marriage. You should both have a say. It's not right for any member of the, any partner, whether the husband or the wife, to want to financially dominate the other person. That's not God's plan for marriage. So both of you should have a say. I mean, ultimately, yes, the husband has, the final responsibility for the family, but as a husband, you should listen to your wife's views on how you spend money, so that you can discuss and come to agreement, right? Even if there's only one earner in the family, both of you should still have a say, because the Bible says the two shall become one. And if your money is not yet one, you are not yet one yet, right? If your money is not yet one, you are not yet one. Beatrice says, my wife and I are very different in how we manage our money, and that's how we balance it. That's fantastic, because you recognize she has certain strengths, you have certain strengths, and you use that to balance each other out. That's the way to go, when it comes to, managing your finances. So, secondly, accept that your money language is not perfect. So it has the potential for weaknesses, and that will help you, to be open to your own spouse's perspective, because you realize you don't have all the answers. None of us has all the answers. And then thirdly, accept and respect your spouse's money languages, because that's what matters to them. Don't judge your spouse, because there is no perfect money language. So don't think, oh, because I'm an analytic and my spouse is an amiable, they don't know how to spend money, and then you constantly judge them and you criticize them. That's not the way. Rather, if you understand, you understand that person is in the marriage to balance you, then that helps at the end of the day. So you have a more balanced approach to marriage, or to money all around in your marriage. So aim for agreement in every major expenditure. That's one thing I always say. That's the fourth thing. Communicate Communicate, communicate. Don't make unilateral money decisions without the input of your spouse. That's just a recipe for, for disagreement. Don't just wake up and do things, financially, big things particularly. You both should agree about, how much you can spend without talking to your spouse. But beyond that, you need to be consultative. Talk to your spouse, communicate. You want to spend money, you want to give to someone, you want to support someone, you do something, buy something. If it's something that is reasonably big for your family, then talk about it and agree together. Don't just make decisions unilaterally. Aim for agreement for every major expenditure that you make. Now, what is major for one family may not be major for the other family, so it depends on what your financial status is. But nevertheless, always communicate so that you're both on the same page. That makes a big difference. And then lastly, remember that everything comes from God and you are only stewards of what God has given you. Thank you. You're only stewards of what God has given you. So, you've got to be prayerful about the financial decisions you make as a family, as a couple, so that, God leads you in your decisions. He helps you to make wise financial decisions. Well, I hope this has helped you. Thank you. Mohammed says, I've learned a lot from you. So if this has helped you, just give me a like or a thumbs up or something, or say, yes, this has helped, right? I'm going to take questions in a minute. I'm going to take questions in a minute, but before I take questions, let me just quickly say that let me ask you to do 3 things for me. First of all, I'd like you to subscribe at my website, tommytalks.com, because what happens is if you do that, you will never miss my videos again. I have a lot of people, who are on my Facebook page. I have, nearly 100,000 followers, but people don't realize that Facebook will not always send you in your feed my videos when I release them. So I release my videos every Saturday, but you may not get it in your feed. So, Facebook tries to decide, okay, I'll show it to this person today or show it. And particularly if you don't comment or you don't like, they're not likely to show it to you. So what I'm saying is this: if you register on my website, tommytalks.com, every week I will send you an email that tells you, oh, I've just released this video. You can watch it here on YouTube or wherever it is and all that. So you will never miss my videos again. That's the first thing. Secondly, connect with me on social media. If you're connected, if you're not connected yet, on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Twitter, I'm on YouTube. Connect with me, particularly, if you're on Facebook, and you've not yet connected with me on Instagram. I'm on Instagram as Tomi Toluhi. Connect with me there, because sometimes on Instagram I share things that I don't share on Facebook. So find me on Instagram and connect with me there as well, so that we can connect from different areas. Thank you, Chinwe. You've been enlightened. That's great. And then the third thing is tell a friend, share on social media, share this live broadcast, share my page so that people can, have the opportunity to gain from the things that we're sharing. Don't keep it to yourself, share it with others. Now, if you've got a question that I have not answered yet, then type it in the message box right now, so that I can answer your question. Now, let me just quickly answer 2 questions that I've got here. I receive hundreds of questions every week, but I've just picked 2 that I think are relevant. So the first one, this is a question from Glory. She says, I've been in a godly relationship for about 6 months and my partner just secured a job, but the salary isn't really a large amount, and his plan is to get married to me before the year runs out or before Easter next year. I don't know whether I should go ahead and agree with this plan or not, because I feel he isn't financially strong enough to start a family, and I'm already in my final year in the university. I don't want to be a burden to him, and I love him so much. Now, that's an excellent question. Now, Glory, let me say that, it sounds to me as if you might be, an analytic, right? So you're weighing the implications of the decision to get married now, and, how things might turn out. And that's a great thing, if you recognize that you're an analytic. But you see, you've got to take that a little bit further, right, and open a discussion with him. Don't just decide on the basis of okay, well, you don't think he's financially ready for it and all that. Just decide, okay, we're not getting married. Open a discussion with him. If he says he'd like you to get married now, talk to him. Okay, so how do we go about budgeting for our wedding? How do we go about budgeting for our marriage? Where's the money likely to come from? What's going to happen if we're married and maybe I'm still finishing up in school or haven't got a job yet? How are we going to handle it? Have a discussion, because as you communicate, you'll be able to come to a plan that works for both of you. At least he knows that you're interested and you're on board, because if he's excited about getting married to you, maybe you need to help him see the other side and all that. You don't have to wait until he has all the money in the world. I see that people have that tendency these days. I am a firm believer in getting married and growing together. I mean, my husband and I, we grew together because, I mean, well, he'd been in the workplace for about 5 years before we got married, but nevertheless, we grew, step by step together, and I really believe in that, so take time to, see that there's potential in growing together. So he doesn't have to have all the money now, as long as, at least there's a place where you can live, and he's able to feed you as a family. So talk to him about those things and let him share, how he thinks it can work. Open a conversation. That's what I would say. Don't just refuse his plans. Open a conversation so that you can both now set a goal for a wedding date that you think works for both of you. Well, I hope that has helped you. Again, as I said, if you've got a question, just type it in the comments box, because I'm going to take your questions now. Then the second question, this is a question from Faith. Faith says, I've been in a relationship for 4 years now. We love each other, but he's not financially stable enough to get married. Now, someone else is asking me to marry him, and he's ready to proceed now. Should I forget my current relationship and move on? I'm not getting any younger. Now, that's a difficult one. Now, let me say this. Money does not guarantee happiness in marriage. So you've got to remember that. So don't throw away a relationship that is working simply because he doesn't have money now. That's the first thing. But you see, at the same time, think about, the fact that, well, even if he doesn't necessarily have the money now, it doesn't mean as if it's not going to, going to happen in the future. But I understand where you're coming from. It depends on how old you are, because if you've been in a relationship for 4 years, you probably need to open a conversation with him and say, okay, how are we going to go about this? If you realize that he's the one you love, there's no point going for someone else if you don't love them. Now, if you've assessed the two of them and you've prayed about it and you sense in your heart, actually, you should actually be getting married to someone else. Don't say, okay, well, because I've been in this relationship for 4 years, then, I've got to go with it and all that, If in your heart you're not persuaded that that's what God wants you to do. But if you're persuaded that that's what God wants you to do, don't change your mind just because of, the money that he has or he doesn't have. If he's committed, that's the point. If he's committed to marriage, and he really wants to get married to you, and he's making plans towards it, then work with him with those plans. If you work with him with those plans and get ready to grow together financially, because you don't have to have all the money in the world to be happy in a marriage, but you do have to love each other, and have similar views and perspective to life in order to have a relationship or a marriage that works. Well, I hope that has helped you. If you've got a question, just type it, in the comments box and let me answer that question. Thank you for all the likes and all the love, and, thank you very much for all that. That's excellent. So it's been fantastic sharing with you today. Now, let me say again, that, as I said before, I would like you to subscribe on my website, tommytalks.com, so that you get my emails letting you know, when I'm sharing a new video and all that. Connect with me on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and there I've got over 100 videos on YouTube and on Facebook as well, which you can go and you can watch and you can learn. I realized when I was preparing for this message, I realized that there's so much to talk about in this area of, finances, in this area of money in relationships. So what I've decided to do is that this week I'm going to be sharing every single day on finances. So I'm going to be sharing blog posts on finances. I'm going to be sharing all kinds of messages on, finances, so that, at least some of them are going to be things that I've shared before. I'm going to reshare them. So look on my page, because there are going to be all kinds of notes and things like that throughout the course of this week to help you with your finances. Now, our next live broadcast is Saturday, the 7th of July. So that's the first Saturday in July. Don't miss it, because I'm really, really looking forward to you. Don't miss it. That's when our next live broadcast is going to be. And if you missed the beginning of this show, as I said, I announced that I'm coming to Lagos. We're having our first live marriage masterclass in Lagos, and I'm so excited about it. I'm so excited, and you're the first to know, because I've not shared this on my Facebook page yet, but I just thought, I needed to share this with you. So I'm coming to Lagos. We're planning a program for November the 3rd. It's going to be in the Muson Center on November the 3rd. Now, all the details you will find on the website marriagemasterclass.org. The program is called transformed. It's all about transforming your thinking about relationships and marriage so that you can transform your life. So please plan to be there, right? Registration is required. So go onto the website, find out how to register. There's early bird discount for anyone who registers between now and the 31st of July. There's an early bird discount of 20%. So just go on there and register. Tell your friends, whatever you do, invest in this program because it will change your life. I guarantee you. I'm so excited. God has been speaking to me about it, and then I've got a wonderful panel of people who are also going to be sharing from their experiences and all that. So get ready to attend this program. It's going to be absolutely awesome. So marriagemasterclass.org is the website, marriagemasterclass.org. So go on there, log on, and find out how exactly it is you need to register. Now let me see, I've got one question here. It says, this is from Han Plank. He says, young men seem to pursue money more than love, saying that money is more important than anything. Love can come later. Should we not invest time in love just as much as money? That's a very good insight, actually. Sometimes we find that these days people think, okay, well, pursue all the money in the world, and then when you've got all the money and you're financially secure, then thank you. Someone says, yay, I'm not going to miss it. Excellent. I'm looking forward to seeing you there, right? So at the end of the day, you've got to balance things out. As a man, yes, you need to have a job. You need to make, some money to take care of your family. But you've got to remember that money cannot buy love. So you need to learn how to hold the two things in tension and not put off, marriage completely just simply because, you want to pursue money and all that. And then maybe, it's way after, then you suddenly decide, oh, finally, I want to get married and all that. By which time, people you wanted to get married to, are probably not even available any longer. So balance the two together. Well, it's been a fantastic time. You've been a great audience. Thank you for sticking with me to the end of this. I'm so excited, and I'm looking forward to the next one. It's on the 7th of July. 7th of July. So spread the word, share this on your Facebook page, and let everyone know what you learned from this. Thank you. Bye for now. Much love.